A heroic female heroine super spy action hero, complete with the private investigator sidekick slash partner who helps her defeat the bad guys who happens to be black, saving the world from crazed rural farm country white terrorists who intend to pull off a huge terror attack and blame it on a poor innocent Muslim. You name it. Could it seem more woke? Surely this movie was made in the last 3 or 4 years. No. Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson, Craig Bierko, 1996, The Long Kiss Goodnight. Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore, at least that is who she will find out she is. Gina Davis is living as a single mother and a school teacher in a serious relationship with a man that seems nice. She has a lovely home and a lovely life and everything you need to live happily ever after. The problem is that Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore, the real her, she has no past while she's living this life of a homemaker and a school teacher. She doesn't remember her previous life. In fact, several years before the opening of our film, she was found on a beach suffering amnesia with a blow to the head and pregnant. She has carried on with her life based on what she was able to piece together from the things in her purse, but it's all very unsatisfying. She has, part-time, a private investigator, Hennessy, played by Samuel L. Jackson. She sends him money sometimes. He sends her little tidbits that he can find, but there's really not a lot to put together, and really Hennessy is mostly just taking her money to keep him on stipend as a side thing. What she really wants before she moves forward in her life is to know about her past, and as often happens, this is a mistake. This is Gina Davis as an action hero. It's sort of like Total Recall, but without the science fiction elements. In the process of her being a snow queen at Christmas time, yes, The Long Kiss Goodnight is a Christmas movie the same way that Die Hard is. She's waving to the crowd and throwing out some gifts, and we fade out to a lone figure in the day room at a prison who freaks out because he sees her on TV and knows who she is. A few calls to some people, Craig Bierko and others in this organization, and pretty soon they are on the hunt, wanting to destroy what's left of Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore, who doesn't know that she ever has been that person, doesn't know why they want to kill her, but will do anything to protect her family, her daughter, her boyfriend, the future that she had planned for herself, now that she has uncovered enough of her past that the wreckage is beginning to appear. With Hennessy, she goes on the road to draw the target away from her home and family and loved ones, goes on the road looking for more of the clues, piecing together more of the clues and evidence of who she is and where she comes from. This is a post-Cold War spy movie. The Soviets are not the bad guys nor the Russians. It is, in fact, as it turns out, our own intelligence agencies, whom she worked for, and crazed rural white radical extremists, people who don't even own a television and use ancient Greek mythological code names like Daedalus. Seriously, you making this up, you'd think that's actually pretty good for the last 3 or 4 years, but it is not a particularly woke movie, and it is legitimately a movie from 1996. But in a post-Cold War environment, the intelligence agencies have their funding cut and they feel like they are becoming obsolete. They need America to be afraid, and they need Americans to be afraid of something. They join with bad guys that they used to investigate and keep an eye on to pull off a terrorist attack with a tanker truck of poisonous gas and explosion that's going to go off at a New Year's Eve celebration in a downtown area. They already have a Muslim guy they kidnapped and is hanging up on a meat hook in a freezer, ready to be put in the driver's seat so he can be framed for it. I feel like maybe, given the things that happened 5 years or so after this movie came out, might be the reason why we don't see it repeated more often or talked about more. They have the plan in motion. They had eliminated Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore, or so they thought. They had raped and attacked her and left her for dead. But then she had awakened with amnesia and pregnant on that beach those years ago. She had been opposed to the whole idea. Apparently, she was a danger to their operation. They thought they had disposed of her, but somebody got cute, and there she escaped, and she is alive. Her memories begin to reassert themselves. Her skills begin to remanifest. And ultimately, she has a showdown with the bad guy, complete with the realization that the bad guy, Craig Bierko, is the father of the daughter that she's been raising alone, which doesn't stop her from killing him, or as she says, she promises to watch him die screaming, and she fulfills this, and she watches him die screaming, not too long after, making fun of the size of his knife and hence the size of his penis, metaphorically. It is a remarkable bit of stuff for 96. We had seen, despite the radical claims of the last few years, there had been plenty of strong female characters, and Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore is one of them. This movie does not nearly get enough credit. I love this movie. Full disclosure, I recommend this movie all the time, but at least once, sometime around 98, I recommended it highly to someone who doesn't even talk to me anymore. They hated this movie so much that they were outraged and visibly angry with me when I saw them, and I cannot fathom it. So take with a grain of salt. I strongly recommend this film. She's a strong action hero type. She's sort of a James Bond, sort of a Rambo, but she's not a ripoff of any of these, and she's not an artificial insertion into those universes. This is the Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore verse. It is uniquely hers, and the circumstances around it were very unique for the time, very well thought out, very well put together plot, very good character development, a little bit of humor here and there. It's an amazing film. And despite all of these elements, it is a solid story because unlike the nonsense that comes out in the era of woke, it is well thought out. There is character development. There is growth. She is not a Mary Sue. Things are not just handed to her, and people don't talk about how awesome she is until it becomes clear that she is awesome and a badass super spy woman. But she's also a mother. She's also very feminine, and maybe that's why they would reject her today. She's a mother. She wants to raise her daughter. She has been raising her daughter, a child that was conceived in rape, though she didn't know it in amnesia, but that does not affect her love for her daughter now. And there's a nice touching scene that after she watches Craig Bierko die screaming, Hennessy, played by Samuel L. Jackson, assures the little girl that she's got her mother's eyes, not her dad's. All in all, it really is an example of good, solid action movie espionage storytelling. It comes together very well, and it includes those things that you could only have with a female action hero, in that era. But she discovers some of her skills when she's chopping vegetables because she's very domestic, and then with the knife to be making small penis jokes to the guy before she kills him. I mean, these are things that are really relatively unique, especially at the time. But she headlines this movie. It is Gina Davis as an action hero. And again, it's not artificially inserting her to be the next James Bond. It's not her leading around Boba Fett or Moon Knight by the hand because they're weak, impotent cucks. This is her universe. It's a story about her and her skills and her abilities shine through. This is classic storytelling. I wish that it had been more widely accepted and we heard more about it. I love it. I'm going to go watch it again and again and again. 1996, The Long Kiss Goodnight.